and we are going to create a new layer using this tool at the bottom of the layers panel on your left. And once you create a new layer, it's going to come up as layer number 1, which is what we have right now. And there at the top where my mouse is pointing, you have your layer lock options. That's where you can lock in a layer so that you don't accidentally delete anything. We will later on go through the different locking methods of each layer, but that is where you lock your layers to avoid certain mistakes. And now what we want to do is add some color to layer 1, and we have added the brown color. Then we go back to our select tool. Now to view layer 1, you can turn on the eye icon. It opens up the layer to being visible, so basically you're turning it on and off its visibility. So we did not delete it, but we just turned off visibility, so it's there but it's not visible on the screen. So if you want to see something that's underneath a layer, you can just turn off the visibility. And the most important thing about layers is arrangement. As you can see, we have our white background. If it's underneath the brown layer, you will not be able to see what's everything else that's underneath it. So we're going to create a third layer and make it orange so that I can further illustrate the importance of arranging your layers. We're going to bring back the white layer so we can have a brown, white and orange layer, and we're going to rename each layer so that it's more clearer. We're going to name this brown, the next one we're going to name it white, and the last one, the top one, is going to be orange. So now the orange layer is on top, the white layer is in the middle, and the brown one is at the bottom. So everything underneath the orange layer, whether you turn on your visibility or not, you'll not be able to see because of the order. The arrangement of the layers makes it so that you can see whatever is underneath the one on top. So now that we've turned on the orange one, you can see the white one, and if we turn off the visibility on the white layer, you can see the brown one. Also, a cool little trick is you can allocate a color for each layer. So if you're working, you can make all your white layers have the red color tag on the visibility icon, just to make it easier to keep track of all your layers. So if you were to add another object, let's say it's an image or a shape, and it's in between layers that are all visible, that are all turned on, you will not be able to see it unless you drag it all the way to the top. That's the only way you'll be able to see exactly what you're doing. So sometimes you might be adding new things and they're not coming up on your screen. The first thing you should do is check which the placement of the layers, where it is exactly, and once you have that sorted out, 90% of the time you will be able to see something on your screen. So now I'm just moving my layers around just to make up some sort of design so that you can see what it looks like when you just move around layers that are stacked. So in this kind of view, you'll be able to see the design. It's a flat design, 2D design. You won't be able to see you won't be able to tell which layers are on top of each other just from looking at it from this angle, because there is no depth to it. However, the layers panel is there to guide you. Okay, let me just edit text layer and correct the words and change the alignment, and there you go. Now the reason why you can see the text that says layers is because it's on top, and if you turn it off, it doesn't affect anything that's underneath. But if you move it down, now you see some of the letters are missing, and it's already disappeared when you pull it all the way to the bottom. When you bring it up again, you can see the text layer. Okay, in this view, I'm going to further illustrate what layers look like from another angle. So think of this as a sheet of paper, and that's layer 1. That's going to be representing the brown layer that we had all the way at the bottom. And this layer is going to be our white layer, and we're going to give them numbers, and there's going to be 1 and there's going to be 2, and we're going to have a third sheet of paper that's going to be the orange layer, and we're going to allocate it number 3. So if you're where the arrow is being drawn, that's the view that we're working with previously. That's the thing that we were looking at. So let me just add some color just so we can have some uniformity and you can keep track of the layers and how they were in our other exercise on the other document. I'm just going to first drag adding colors to the rest of the, and we are now making the top sheet of paper orange to represent our orange layer. Now in this view, as you can tell, there is space between each layer. So if you were to put something in between these layers, obviously it will be covered up. You would need to take it from underneath and put it all the way to the top to be able to see it, which is what we had done with our text layer and the blue rectangle that we added in the previous document. And that's how you move around and stack your layers and see how your design is coming out. You see in this example, the text layer that I mentioned, how it's at the very top. And now, if you wanted to move the brown layer to make it visible, you would have to take it all the way to the top. And you'd have to drag the layer on the layers panel with the order and put it all the way to the top. And in this visual representation, obviously the brown would then end up being on top of the white and the orange, and you will not be able to see the other 2 layers because they will be covered up. So it will now be the visible layer at the very top of the stack. And also vice versa, if you take the orange and you drag it all the way to the bottom, you will be able to see the layer after that one, which is the white one. And the orange layer will no longer be visible. So that is more of a 3D representation of how layers work.